Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 3 of the Single Moms Connect group. And I hope that you've been enjoying the companion videos that go along with the course. Again, this is a 10-week deep dive into the things that pertain mainly to single moms and how we should be responding to them, and actual practical biblical application in our lives and what that looks like. And prayerfully, you're getting a lot more out of your study gateway application for your TV or your phone, more than even I had expected. So prayerfully, you're going to stay on board with the content that is not only presented last week, but also this week. Because the first week we looked at things for mainly our sons, but how single mom can interact better with their sons as they're growing up, despite the ages, and what that looks like. And Dr. Edgar Riches helped us in so many ways to really define what that means, to be gentle parenting, but also for the child, the son, to receive what his mom is saying to him in the best and gentlest way. So where we can still be firm with our sons, but understand that they need the respect that they will deserve as they are growing into men. And that is sometimes a huge challenge for us. I know it was in my life, and I'm so thankful for his videos because I do refer back to them a lot, which is, again, this is on YouTube. It is not on the Study Gateway, but in the coming weeks, we will be using the Study Gateway application a lot. So I hope that you've got that downloaded, and prayerfully you can fit that in with your budget. And again, I believe it is only $6.95 per month. It's definitely worth the investment, considering how much is actually in there. So today we're talking about childcare issues and creating community. And why are these two things combined? Because for us as single moms, it's difficult in many areas. And I say that logistically. I say that as in our neighborhoods. It's sometimes we have neighbors that are more single mothers than they are anything else. Now, in my neighborhood, that is not the case, but my neighbor and I are both single moms. So because of where we live. But in our actual neighborhood, that's unknown to me. Now, I do know of many couples, married couples, living within this community. And so your community may not look the same as mine. And so I need you to understand, when you're trying to create community and reaching out to your neighbors as a Christian, we're supposed to do that. But when you are in contact with your neighbors, you need to keep that in mind, where they're coming from, because their perspective will be so much different than yours. They may understand surface things. They may understand what's happening with the dissolution of a marriage. They may understand what that may appear to be, but they don't fully understand the childcare issues, or the need to establish people in your small circle, in your community, that can help you in times of a crisis. And the reason why I say this, I will give you a quick, fast example. The neighborhood I lived in prior to the one I am in right now was all single moms. There was 4 or 5 of us within this one street, and our I would say our lifeline was kind of each other. If I wasn't able to get home from work as my child's school bus got there, but my neighbor was there, I could send a quick text or a phone call and say, I'm running a few minutes late. Can you please take my child off the bus? And that's how we would help each other a lot. And especially, we didn't get into each other's business per se, but we were there for each other. So if someone needed a ride, maybe their car broke down, they just needed a ride to the grocery store. Hey, I'm available. I got time. I can help you out. Hey, I needed a ride to the doctor's office. Can you bring me there? Sure, I'll go one better and I'll go to the doctor's office with you. How about that? Well, you don't have childcare either. And it's like, yeah, but I have older children that can watch my younger children. I say that very cautiously because I do not believe that an older child should become the younger child's parent. Okay? Keep that in mind when you're asking your older children to babysit the younger ones. Try to get an adult babysitter to care and help care for your kids. And if not, then I guess you can't participate in certain things, or you need to reach out to family members for that type of help. But in my case, I had neighbors that truly helped me because they knew my parents were no longer able to help me physically with childcare and those kinds of things. So my house became one of those where the children next door could come to at any time. My door was open to them, and their door was open to my children. So I thought that was a fantastic thing. And that does not always happen in certain communities. So that is what I'm talking about when you're saying creating community or you have childcare issues. There's another element that goes with that, which is maybe financial. How do you pay for childcare and stuff? So that's in our resource list. In our Pioneer Valley community, we have multiple places that can help you with that. This is just a quick snapshot of our resource list that will be made available to you within this week 3 class. So prayerfully, if you're watching this before that class actually starts, I pray that you would make sure you grab that resource list on your way out. Now, there's certain things like the church that I belong to here for this community connect group. We have a food pantry within our ministry. You can access that. There is one that is local to me. There's food pantries all around within this Pioneer Valley. I would say, like, for toddler and baby care needs, there's a place that, oh my goodness, it is the Village Closet, I believe it's called. And I'm not entirely familiar with that, so I'm seriously not sure if that's still open. There is a hotline phone number on here where you can maybe access to get supply of diapers if that is what your needs are. There is Compass Financial Ministry. That is something I would say you can seriously and certainly look into. There's always the Department of Transitional Assistance if you have needs like that. If you have any questions about those kinds of things for the DTA, I can certainly answer those questions. I may not be able to answer all of them, but I will do my best. So going forward, we will be watching Dr. Egerich's part 2, second video. And again, that's on YouTube. And we will be finishing that. It'll probably take about 25 minutes. And then I will be reading to you in this video here, Hagar's home life and her income, because I want those who are watching this, and maybe you couldn't be at the group meeting tonight, but maybe you're able to watch this online. And I would love for people to be able to watch these before they come, if that's the case. This is why they are companion videos. It's something that you, if you're not there, you can watch it. If you're going to rely on these only, then you're missing out on the content that we have for you in the Connect group. So I do invite you to be in person for these because it's Sunday mornings, and I know time is short, and you can work these things out according to your schedule. So I thank you for that. And then at the end of the Connect group tonight, you will be having a little discussion about these videos and maybe about the childcare issues that you're enduring and how you can create a deeper community, not only within the church body, but also within your personal community where you live and where you work. So let's just jump right into The discussion page that I will give you a copy of that also when you come to the class. Hagar's income and home life. Now we're 10 minutes into this video so far, and this is going to take a couple minutes for me to read it, so I'm just going to read straight through. Okay? Reading from Genesis chapter 21, verses 1 through 21. I'm going to stop and pause right here. You go read that and then turn it back on. Welcome back. We meet up with Sarah, Abraham, Hagar, and Ishmael again at the time of Isaac's birth, of which God had indeed promised would happen, verses 1 through 7. When Isaac was weaned from his mother, Abraham held a great feast to celebrate, and Sarah saw Ishmael mocking Isaac. Seeing the intent of his actions, or his heart, Sarah demanded that Abraham should get rid of Hagar and Ishmael, noting that they would have no part in Abraham's inheritance with Isaac. Abraham was grieved because Ishmael was also his son, but God told Abraham to do what Sarah said, because he had already made provision for Hagar prior to Isaac's birth, which is what we read. Again, Genesis chapter 16, verses 10 and 12. God told Abraham, this is from the New Living Translation, do not be upset over the boy and your servant. Do whatever Sarah tells you, for Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. But I will also make a nation of the descendants of Hagar's son, because he is your son too. That's verse 12 through 13. The next movements by Abraham must have been incredibly heart-wrenching. Like, the scene must have been terrible. One can only picture the moments of anguish and pain and torment in the hearts of Hagar and Ishmael. We would like to think that Abraham had some deep emotions about this moment, but as it is written, and Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water, and he gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder and the child, and sent her away. So he put something on her shoulder, put something on his shoulder, and sent her away. And she departed, wandering in the wilderness of Beersheba. That's Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. This is a reference to Abraham replied, please accept these 7 lambs to show your agreement that I dug this well. Then he named the place Beersheba, which means well of oath, because that was where they had sworn an oath. That's Genesis chapter 21, verses 30 and 31. That's just a reference to Beersheba. We are happy to read that Abraham was being obedient to God and filling the request of Sarah. But as we look closer into the provisions given to Hagar and their son Ishmael, it is no wonder why Ishmael grew to be a wild man, as untamed as a wild donkey. He will raise his fist against every person, and everyone will be against him. Yes, he will live in open hostility against all his relatives. Genesis chapter 16, verse 12. Abraham gave them a literal sip of water, crust of bread. If you remember the movie from Disney, Beauty and the Beast, Cogsworth the Clock says that. He says, sip of water, crust of bread. So for their entire rest of their living, that's what he gave them. And he never gave them anything or had contact with them ever again. How many of you single moms have had to endure that? I have. Understanding the culture of the times that are mentioned here, Abraham was not allowed to stay connected to them either. Please understand the restraints that God has put on Abraham. So this begs the question, why didn't God consider Ishmael to be the firstborn son, even though technically, physically, he was? God did not consider Abraham's firstborn. In fact, in Genesis 22, here's what God said to Abraham. Abraham, take now your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac. and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will tell you. Now that's an excerpt from verses 1 and 2. From God's perspective, which should have been Abraham's perspective too, Isaac was Abraham's only son. After all, God had promised Abraham and Sarah a son in their old age. Sarah and Abraham, however, had wavered in faith by taking matters into their own hands, and in an attempt to help God, God, of course, needed no helping hand in doing doing to them or for them what had seemed impossible, which is Genesis chapter 18, verse 14. We can only imagine how difficult their lives were about to become, but historically speaking, Hagar was now making her first steps as a single mother. She would be leaving the father of her son and having no viable income, no marketable skills to earn a living, and she had no family to rely upon outside of Abraham's. Culturally, she was considered to be unclean, so marrying again, or for the first time, was not an option. Socially, she would be the outcast of the most prominent man in the region, making it even more difficult for her and Ishmael to survive. Hagar's situation was bleak, to say the least, and it became darker as time passed. They were now wandering through the wilderness of Beersheba in verses 15 through 21, and we read, "When the water was gone, she put the boy in the shade of a bush. Then she went and sat down by herself about 100 yards away. I don't want to watch the boy die," she said, as she burst into tears. But God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven, "Hagar, what's wrong? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Go to him and comfort him, for I will make a great nation of his descendants." Then God opened Hagar's eyes. Now this is spiritual and physical. And she saw a well full of water. She quickly filled her water container and gave the boy a drink. So if she'd gone just a little bit further, maybe she would have seen that well there. But I think the divine encounter with the living God was in greater need at that moment. And God was with the boy as he grew up in the wilderness. He became a skillful archer, and he settled in the wilderness of Paran. His mother arranged for him to marry a woman from the land of Egypt. Now, as Hagar faces the depths of the situation, fear and anxiety fill her heart, and she sees there's no way out of the wilderness, and there are no more provisions. Her hopes are waning, and the life of her only son is hanging in the balance. But God, he shows up right on time. Now note this. Hurting, fearful, and angry people often run into the wilderness to avoid what hurts them rather than facing their troubles. But it is in these wilderness moments that God brings people to himself. This time it is the angel of God who speaks with Hagar, who reassures her of the promise God made to her the first time she fled into the wilderness. Once again, it is important to note here the difference between the angel of God and the angel of the Lord, capital letters Lord. So note, whenever we see the word Lord capitalized, it is in direct reference to Yahweh, YHWH, Jehovah God Almighty. The angel here would be a reference to Jesus, the Son, as he appeared to Abram in the vision in Genesis chapter 15, verses 1 through 4. Then the Lord said to him, "No, your servant will not be your heir, for you will have a son of your own who will be your heir." Then God opens her eyes. Hagar was unable to see the water source, but then God opens her eyes. I believe this is in reference to her spiritual and physical sight. When we are in the middle of a difficult situation, it is hard to see God's provisions or his presence. even if it is right in front of our eyes. We later read in verse 30 to 31, unknown to Hagar, Abraham had dug a well in a place he called Beersheba, which means well of the earth. Remember the footnote. There is no coincidence with God, and he is always working behind the scenes to arrange things for our good. Even if we don't see it now, it comes later. As such is the case here. Romans 8:28. So when we are looking at the things through our human natural lens of understanding, we cannot see what God is doing because it is literally beyond our understanding. That's Psalm 147, verse 5. But when our spiritual eyes are open, it is an absolute game changer. We begin to see God everywhere. We can see his provisions and his ways of speaking to our hearts. And we will see his hand in every area of our lives. We just have to look for him. God not only saved Hagar and Ishmael's life on this day, but we read in verse 20 through 21, God was with Ishmael as he grew up. But when he became a man, we read later in Genesis chapter 25, verse 12 through 18, that he did indeed fulfill the words spoken by the angel of the Lord. This is the account of the family of Ishmael, the son of Abraham, through Hagar, Sarah's Egyptian servant. Here is a list by their names and clans of Ishmael's descendants. Now, side note, I may mess up names, but the pronunciation, but please bear with me. The oldest was Nebaioth, followed by Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsham, Mishma, Duman, Massa, Hadad, Timah, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These 12 sons of Ishmael became the founders of 12 tribes named after them, listed according to the places they settled and camped. Ishmael lived for 137 years. Then he breathed his last and joined his ancestors in death. Ishmael's descendants occupied the region from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt in the direction of Asher or Assyria. There they lived in open hostility toward all their relatives. Ishmael's hardness of heart serves as a strong warning to all single parents. God did make him a great nation, and he was with him as he grew up. But as an adult, Ishmael's decisions and ways of living were entirely up to him. We can only imagine what the condition of his heart towards God was. The scriptures do not tell us his heart at the end of his life, but does express that his descendants were living in open hostility towards their relatives, mainly Abraham's descendants. And we know who they are today. We can wonder and speculate on what would have been different, but Ishmael followed after God all the days of his life, or Isaac followed after God after all the days of his life. And here we can learn more about soul wounds that were inflicted on Ishmael's heart in the absence of his father, Abraham. As single mothers of sons, we must do all that we can to help them understand that there is a God who sees them, who hears them, and who will provide for them, even in the absence of their fathers. We must help them feel respected by us and help them mature in their relationships with God and their father and other relatives. So their hearts are not hardened towards us or towards anyone else either. We will learn more about how to help our sons and our daughters feel respected and loved by us and their fathers, and how to help them better understand the Heavenly Father's love towards them. So I hope that you have gained a lot from this. I know that in the coming weeks you may have to reread and reread it again, but I will leave this on the board for you. Take a quick snapshot photo of that with your cell phone. Here you go. And my handy-dandy pointer right here. Creating Childcare Issues. or dealing with childcare issues and creating community resource list, which will be made available when you come to the meeting. Please watch Dr. Egerich's video. We will probably be watching that in the class, time permitting, because it is 25 minutes. I've already discussed Hagar's income and home life. That you will also have a copy made available to you. We will be having a time for discussion and prayer at the end of this class. I believe 15 minutes may cover that, maybe a little bit more. There's a lot that are in each of these lessons every week, but it is necessary for the survival not only of your spiritual life, but for your heart, your mind, your soul, and to give you strength to handle the things that come up and to be the best gentle parent that you can be. Our daughters need to know we love them. And that's another thing that we can talk about after, I believe it is week 7 or 8. 7 or 8. I think it's week 8, because week 8 we will be talking and discussing being united in Christ and friendships. I want to touch a little bit on that. There's some things with that it's individualized more so. I've focused a lot more of attention on our sons because of Dr. Egerich's videos, because they really do bring home the point about moms giving the right types of respect, boundaries, and things for their sons. But it does apply. We can apply some of those things with our daughters as well. And that's, again, something that we'll talk about in the coming weeks. I love you. Jesus loves you. We'll see you next week. Bye.